Hi, Linda Sessions here, and this is for CED 115. This video covers the Profits for Panthers, the Excel Fundraiser Spreadsheet. And if you're curious, the school I went to, the Panthers, still is the mascot, and our school colors were green and white. And if you're still curious, yes, I'm a graduate of Derby High School. So I used those colors when I put together this presentation. So I've already downloaded the starter file, and I am ready to get going, making the changes based on the instructions. First instruction is to save the file, and you need to save it with your last name, .panthers. And in the very first week of class, you were asked to create a folder for the class. So go ahead and save it in that folder so that you can find it when you are ready to submit for grading. Moving on, we are going to be looking at step 2, which is change the title font in A1 to Rockwell Extra Bold, and then change it to 20 point. So we want to change the size and the font. So before we can do anything else, we need to first select that cell. So I'm going to go to A1. I'm going to select that cell, and then I'm going to come up here in the font grouping on the Home tab, and I am going to find that Rockwell Extra Bold. Now remember, your fonts are in alphabetical order. And so I'm going to come down here to the R's and find that Rockwell Extra Bold, Then change the font size to 20 points. Now when you are completing this assignment, you need to make sure that you are using the desktop version of Microsoft Office. The web version will not work when you're trying to complete this assignment, as it does not have all the bells and whistles you need. So step 3, we want to go to the subtitle font in cell A2, and we want to bold that and then change the font size to 16. So I'm going to go to A2, and I'm going to change that font size. Actually, I'm going to make it bold, and now I'm going to change the font size to 16. Now you notice I didn't have to highlight anything. I could just select a cell and make the changes. But then it also asks me to replace the Your Name text to your name, meaning your actual name, after the prepared by in cell A3. So we're going to go to A3 where it says prepared by your name. You want to change that your name to your actual given name. Oops, I went too far, so I'm going to come up here and click this undo button. It doesn't like it. There we go. This undo and redo button become your friends. Come back here to cell 3, A3. I want it to be prepared by Linda Sessions. And then in order to make sure that information is in that cell, I'm just going to click off of it. And so you can see now it says prepared by Linda Sessions. So that's going to be whatever your given name is. So prepared by, if you are Walt Disney, it should be prepared by Walt Disney. Okay, number 4, we're going to use the today function to actually put the date that you are making these changes in cell H3. And it tells us to go to the Formulas tab, Date and Time, and then scroll down to Today. So if we want something to be in cell H3, the first thing we have to do is select H3. So once we have H3 selected, we're going to come up here to the Formulas tab, go to the Date and Time, come down here to today, lets you know that this is the function argument. We don't need to do anything else except click OK. And you can see I'm actually creating this on July 14th. So whatever day you are creating your assignment, that's what's going to show up in your cell. Step 5, we want to add some color to our spreadsheet here. So we are going to select, we're going to fill the range A1 to H3 with green, and then we are going to change the font color to white so it can stand out. So the first thing I need to do is select A1 over to H3. On the Home tab, I'm going to select the fill color, and I'm going to change that to the standard color green. And then I'm going to come up to the font color, and I'm going to change it to white. Now the white is actually going to show up as white background 1, and that's the one that I want you to choose. I want you to use that white. So when you click off of it, you can see that you've added a little bit of color to your spreadsheet. Step 6, we're going to format A4 to H4 with the heading 3 style, and then we're going to center it. Just going to make it look a little better. Again, the first thing that we need to do is we need to select that range A4 to H4, and up here we have our cell styles, and we're going to change that cell style to heading 3. And then over here in our alignment area, we're going to change that to center. Now because we used that cell style 3, that changed that text color automatically to blue. Looking on in our assignments here, we are on number 7, and now we're going to start working with formulas and functions. I'm going to create a formula or a function in C18 to determine the total number of products that we have on hand. Then we're going to copy that formula over to G18, but then we're going to delete that information from F18. So you'll notice in column F, that's a vendor code, and there's really no sense in adding up vendor codes. So we don't need the information there, so we're going to delete that. But the first thing we need to do is total the products, the total number of products on hand. So we're going to go to C18, and to find the total number, we want to add C5 down to C17. So up here on, there's several ways you can do that. You can go to the Formula tab, and right here is our AutoSum, and then we can select Sum. You could also go to your Home tab, and over here is your AutoSum, and you can select Sum. So there's different ways that you can choose to find and add these up, as long as you're adding up the sum of C5 through C17. And then I'm going to come up here and hit the check mark, and it lets us know that we have 247 items on hand. Now we need to copy that over to G18. I'm reading the instructions to make sure that's correct. Lost my place in the assignments. Give me a sec here. Yep, to G18. So here in C18, I have my fill handle. Then I'm going to move my mouse over. So you just move your mouse over, and remember, when your mouse looks different, it's going to perform a different function. So when my mouse becomes that little crosshairs or the little black plus sign, I'm now going to click down with my left mouse key and drag over to G18 to copy that over. But I don't need this information in F18, so I'm just going to hit delete on my keyboard. Now in step 8, we want to do the same thing, but we want the highest number of products. And in step 9, we want to do the lowest number. And in step 10, we want to determine the average. So we're going to do the same steps, but we're going to use different functions. And we also need to make sure that we are selecting the correct range. When we come here to C19 to select the highest, come up here to our AutoSum. If I clicked on this little arrow right here and select max, you can see it automatically assumes that we want C5 through C18. Now C18 is our totals, so it's automatically going to bring back that C18 as our highest number, and we know that's not correct. So we want to get rid of that C18, and we want to make that C17, because we want that range that it's looking at the highest numbers to be C5 to C17. Hit our check mark or the enter key, and now we have our highest number. We're going to do the same now with copying it over. And then we're going to delete that information from the F column. Going to do the same thing with our lowest. AutoSum, going to go to the minimum this time. Make sure you look at the range that you're looking and selecting the correct range. And then you're going to copy that over and delete that information from the F column. And then do the same thing with average. Now Excel thinks it's trying to help you when you're using these functions, and it's just selecting all of the numbers in the cells that are closest to the cell that you are looking at. So you always have to double check and make sure that the range it's looking at is the range that you want it to be looking at. So you might have to make changes, so always double check it, copy it over, and we're going to delete that number there in the F column. And you'll notice in G21 it gives us an error, and that is like, okay, we can't divide something by 0. And that's because we don't have anything here in the total value. Once we start entering in information in the total value, these 4 cells will start to populate, and that error will go away. So once we have our totals and our highest, lowest, and average information entered in, now we are ready to go to step 11, and that tells us in G5 we are going to create a formula that multiplies our on-hand pieces of merchandise times the selling price. So this time we're going to have to enter in a formula, and when you do that in Excel, the first thing you have to do is hit the equals key. So we're going to hit equals. Our on-hand is C5. Asterisk is the symbol for multiply. and we want then to multiply it by our selling price, which is E5. And then I'm going to click on this check mark up here to enter it. And so that is going to let us know the total value. If we were to sell all of the baseball caps, that's what we would have. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to copy that down to G17, and you can see it populates the rest of the cells. Okay, so now we want to format the cells in range G5 up here to G21, so we want to select that entire range, to the comma style with 2 decimal places. So up here in our number grouping in our Home tab, we're going to select the comma style and then make sure it's 2 decimals. If you don't have 2 decimals, you're going to increase or decrease the decimals right here to make sure that it has 2 decimal places. Now in H5, we want to create a formula that shows the profit that we gain from our products when we sell them. And that is the selling price minus the cost. So again, we're going to hit the equal key and we're going to take the selling price minus our cost and then hit the enter key, and then we're going to copy that down, let's see, to H17. We're going to now take the range from H5 to H21, and we're going to make that again the comma style with 2 decimals. And then we want a formula in H18 that's going to give our total profit in H18. So we are going to take and do our we want to show what our total profit is on our items. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this down again. And you can see on all of our items together, if we sold each one of them, it's a $31 profit. If you want to go in and see what our actual profit is if we were to actually sell everything, your formula would be a little different. We would go a little deeper into the formula because you would need to take the selling price times how many you sold minus the cost of how many you sold. So you really can't get a profit until after your sell is complete. And we don't have that information yet. And that isn't going to happen until after until the end of our promotion or our game or our season. Okay, our fundraiser, whenever that is over. Okay, so now we are going to do some more things to make our spreadsheet look a little more put together. We're going to use some conditional formatting. We're going to create a new rule that will cause cells that are more than $100 in our G column, which is our total value, to display a light red field with dark red text. So we want to know which of our items that we have in our store altogether are worth more than $100. So the first thing we need to do is select that range in our G column, just our items. We're not going to include any of the totals. Up here on our Home tab, we have Conditional Formatting. We're going to highlight Cell Rules, and anything that is greater than 100, we want that to appear with a light red fill with a dark red text. I'm going to say OK. So now you can see which ones are more than 100. Now, if we wanted to see the ones that are actually at 100, we would have made them equal and greater than. So we just wanted those that are greater than $100. So we want to format cells D5, E5, G5, and H5 to accounting style with 2 decimals. So we want to see that dollar sign in there. So we can select cells D5 and E5, make those accounting style, which is this dollar symbol up here in the number formatting area. That's automatically going to give them 2 decimal points as well. And we also want G5 and H5. Make those accounting number as well. Now we want to take cells D6 to E17, and we want to make those comma style with 2 decimals. And then we want to take G6 to H17 and make those comma style with 2 decimal points. For number 16, we want to format cells D18 to G21. So I'm going to select D18, clear over to G21, and I want them to be currency with 2 decimals. So up here in my general area, I'm going to click on this down arrow right here, and right here is currency, and that is going to automatically put the dollar sign on there and give me 2 decimals. Now, the main difference between currency and accounting, or the difference between them, currency puts the dollar sign right next to the numbers. Accounting puts the dollar sign to the left side of the cell. We want to change the width of columns as follows. Column A, we want to be 7.0. So right up here, we're going to move our mouse between A and B until it has that double-headed arrow. We can click, and now we're going to change that width to 7.0. We want B through F to be best fit. So I can select the columns by holding the down arrow key and select B through F. And now I can move my mouse to its double-headed arrow and double-click, and that's going to give them the best fit. You can also do each column individually. Then G and H, we want them to be 10. So we've changed the width of our columns. then step 18, we want to change the total. We want to add the total cell style to the range A18 to H18. So we're going to select A18, clear over to H18, and up here in the cell styles, we're going to select and make that total. Okay, so you'll notice that H18 does not have a $ in front of it, and it really should. However, that got left off of the instructions, so it doesn't have one there. Now, the on hand in C, that's counting. That's not money, so that shouldn't have a $ on it. So now in step 19, we are going to create a chart. We're going to create a 3D pie chart. And so we need to select two areas that are not adjacent to each other's, and it tells us exactly which two ranges we need to select. We're going to select cell B5 to B17. We're going to hold down our control key, and then in one motion we're going to select H5 to H17. So we want a chart that is going to show us the profits that each particular item is going to make or bring in to our Panthers Booster Club. So we're going to come up here to our Insert tab, and right here is our charts. We want a 3D pie chart, so it's right here. And we want this 3D pie chart. I'm going to select it and right up here on the chart design, because we want it on a new sheet named Panther Profits. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to move the chart to a new sheet, and I'm going to name that new sheet Panther Profits, and I'm going to say OK. And I want my chart title to be Profits for Panthers. So you notice I clicked in the title area and started typing, and then it put it automatically in there. If you feel more comfortable selecting that text and then typing it, that's fine as well. Just make sure you spell it correctly. So in 19A, it says change the style of the chart by picking one of the chart style options on the Chart Design tab. So here we have our Chart Design tab, and we have different chart style options right over here, and we can pick one of these options that we like. And so I kind of like this one. It gives it like a little 3D effect. And then we're also asked to add at least one chart element to enhance the look of our chart. So right over here we have add chart elements, and I want to add some labels to the I'm going to go ahead and put the call out, because I want the percentages to also show on my chart. So when somebody's looking at this chart, they can see what the piece of pie is referring to and how much profit is getting it. So that's what I'm going to choose. You choose what you like for the chart. So here is my completed chart. So in step 21, we want to rename our Worksheet tab Sheet 1 to Panther Cells. So here I'm going to go to Sheet 1, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to rename it to Panther Cells. And I'm going to look and see what I have at Sheet 2 here. There's nothing there. So I'm just going to right click and I'm going to delete that. Now you might not have a Sheet 2 or a Sheet 3. If you do, you can delete them or you can leave them there. It's up to you. I've just decided I don't like the way they look, so I'm going to take them off. So this is what your final Panthers Excel Fundraiser Spreadsheet should look like. You've got your Panthers products. Oh, finally, we want to rearrange the sheet so that the Panthers cells is the first sheet. So it's real easy to do that. I'm just going to click on my Worksheet tab at the bottom, and I'm going to drag it in front of Panther Profits. So now Panther cells is first. Here is my information, and then here is my Panther Profits. Now when I go in to grade it, Panther cells, I'm going to come up here and I am going to go to the Formulas tab. I'm going to click on Show Formulas, and I'm going to make sure that you have used the correct formulas down here in C18 over here to H. And I'm going to make sure that you've used formulas in the G and the H column, and that you've used a formula in H3. You can click on that, and it's going to turn that off, and it will bring back. So that's how I can find out whether or not you've used formulas. So once you have that done, submit it, and submit it for grading, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day. Bye.